And the blended spice in India that is manufactured cannot have yeast extract.
Yeah. So it'll probably be faster to set up a sort of a de facto company in Pakistan and then sell it here.
That damn masala is always better because it has yeast extracts and we all fall for it. Yeah. But anything in India, if it has just about 0.02%, you are behind bars. Non-bailable.
Okay.
Non-bailable. I mean, so you like, what is this? I mean, how can you allow a product of the similar nature on the shelf sitting next to you and with different thing, you know? So if you have a pickle, for example, now that we serve in small restaurants, so pickle has a different law. So most small restaurants use vinegar-based pickles.
Okay.
So that is a different law. Now that trader, whether he has that act implemented in his, if you see his pickle factory, you'll run away.
Sure.
See pickle factories in Makala side.
So, but most of the small traders use that.
So this law, that's a problem. There are so many offences, especially in standard, which have imprisonment. There are fines starting from 2 lakh onwards till 10 lakhs. So this is also which we have represented, that these errors could be real-time errors in course of doing a business. You can't penalize us like a criminal. So you, at least this prosecution in terms of imprisonment all is not called for. You know, you must have a more holistic approach instead of, criminalizing this whole thing. So that's one thing which is represented. Also, we could see a change in that also.
But on one hand, we are agreeing that there needs to be some kind of regulation. And some of these things are good actually, but the spirit in which they are doing
regulation, but we're saying, hey, you have to give an opportunity for correction.
Okay.
It's like give a correction letter. You say you've been found of this. You give one chance. Next time you're found.
Okay.
I think Pradeep saying that
you have to give an opportunity.
this law just states that
There is a process wherein it gives you a notice.
There is some process. There is a process for correction.
Yes. It is the first notice, second notice,
Okay.
and then it is.
It's called the improvement notice.
Improvement.
Okay.
So the fact is that, I don't think you can as a restaurant. So industry say, hey, let us, make a mistake, keep making it, and don't do anything.
But you're speaking specifically about the food safety license, where there are opportunities for correction. But other licenses, speaking about the other licenses at large.
Licenses at large.
So that is an unspoken thing that you just go on paying, and it's
Not necessarily. No. I mean,
Every country will have its own norms.
I think each one,
Everywhere there is this.
they're different. But I also feel that if you cultivate relationships. So you can only do that if you've been in business for a bit.
yes,
Your company or within the company,
Yes.
your organization, you cultivate relationships with them.
yes,
Sometimes you don't, and you pay very little.
Yes.
And you comply with the law. You're 100% sure. So you're
Okay.
100% compliant. You can actually, stand tall and you can.
okay.
It's a challenge. But you can.
There's a cost attached to that cultivation of relationship.
That cost is sometimes, that cost, I'm talking about a cost where it's, where it is inviting the person, taking them out for lunch or dinner. There is that kind of relationship, helping them with something, information, whatever these guys also look for. But you have to also be 100% compliant.
True.
You got to beat the system and then try to change.
You got to, like he said, take the BMC guys' approval before even negotiating the landlord, right?
True.
And saying
Absolutely.
that I'll get all my 10 permissions. Whoever your consultant is going to help you, who knows the law, all
Okay.
the laws, right? All the
Sure.
licenses and all those laws.
Sure.
And with all those permissions and say, and then do a location. Because otherwise, if you don't, then you end up normally not realizing you've done something. And you also often end up because you've taken a shortcut, right?
Okay.
You
Yes.
don't have something in order, but now that everything is built, or you already started putting money in, and you think, I have to get my approval. Kya karu?
Sure.
Is there a list of what licenses are needed for each industry, and where do we find that?
Pradeep, you'd like to take
For
that?
our industry, our association will provide what are the license.
For the restaurant.
For each city,
category is like 36 square feet in a mall.
we can get a list like that.
Everything that a restaurant requires, you will need.
Same. Unfortunately, they haven't as yet. We also trying to talk about this that, kiosks which are smaller and less than 100 should have simpler licensing norms, but even we haven't had success.
It also depends on what kind of equipment you're having.
Yes,
If you
the
have
process is.
obviously you have to have that heavy
Yes.
machinery, and So it depends what kind of equipment.
But
If you're a
these
kiosk
places-
only retailing, then you need basically a
these
retail
places
license.
don't cook, no, so they,
Yeah, so
they
you
can
don't
be-
need-
So not always, they
Yeah,
cook
so you
sometimes,
don't
they
need
cook
all.
on the
You don't need all,
premises. Like,
some. If you don't cook, actually you need that. It depends. So there
We
are.
prepare it and we assemble it and
Yeah.
as long as there's no
Induction
cooking
and serve it.
So it's a process. So if there is processing, then you have to.
Actually, the issue is on the definition of which kind of eating house you fall under. Like in my place, I don't have gas.
So there is tea house. There is a tea house.
so it's only electricity and so you can, so what license?
Don't run a griller. So actually, I don't fall under the purview.
So you'd be under a snack bar license actually?
Then I come under eating house. Man. Then you got to follow that. Yeah, it's a choice whether you want to remain in the business or might as well.
Understand the
follow.
law, you can do it. You're right. If you don't, you can just get that other license. But again, that license, the snack bar license, only which is.
snack bar.
Yes, yes.
Mumbai
Sure.
doesn't exist in other parts of India.
Oh.
Even any कोई snack bar license.
No, coffee shops, for example, we have snack bar licenses here where we only reheat or, no such thing. It's all of them are eating house. Okay.
You're 20 square foot,
Okay.
1,000 unit license. They don't, that's the thing. It's all state led. Like I said, 90% of the licensing in this country, except for business, is all state.
So we have to attempt to find a property where we are likely to get all our licenses and keep it clean, and but yet, and pay the cost of being. I mean, there's a cost of.
You are also paying for the cleaning and also for his cleaning. The guy who
Yeah.
True,
Like
true.
I said, it's gone to
But
the broader discussion.
yeah, this has gone to a broader discussion as Samir and
Just make one
Vikram
point to
mentioned.
Samir on this, as you rightly mentioned, that it is about engagement with the government, the agency.
I think so.
See, I believe what even Pradeep is trying to say. Today we are at the point where a new law is coming in place, and you have an association which is over 2 decades or 10 years, right? Why don't you guys bring in some speed in the act of yours to bring these guys to the level that we are talking and bring them to the floor level, as he says?
We have tried. I mean, like I said,
having spent 20 years into engagement and bringing them to 20
I think
With
let's
FSS.
let's leave aside what association should and shouldn't do, because I think they are all doing a very hard and
Absolutely.
and spending a lot of their
The fact that the conversion from 20 things
that is what
to
I was
7 is
saying.
fantastic.
No,
Is fantastic.
Not bad, because it was over
8 months.
meetings, and the fourth one, by the time the fourth, they said, you haven't seen, this is the circular, we issued it.
Oh,
And when we tried to fix the meeting, they said, what's it to discuss? So we said the 20, they said 7, because the meeting was coming to the CEO, the circular got issued, then they held the meeting.
over a period of what
They said,
time?
7 ho gaye, ab 13 reh gaye, let's discuss 7, we're done.
Over a period of what time?
No, we actually started our first meeting with them in, I think, August last year.
Okay.
So we had August,
Almost 10 months.
September, December, and then June it's got, some have got time.
But
It's taken a while,
but considering our history, I think 40% in 1 year is
No, that's-
fantastic.
they haven't
I mean,
said no to
really.
the rest. In this
Okay.
last meeting,
Still in
we've
discussions.
actually so we take experts. So we have experts from the chains. So McDonald's, Domino's, Yum, Mirulas, we get experts to then bring in the international citation, this, that. So we're using all the same experts and
Okay.
information to prove to them that, hey, what some stuff is impractical, you got to change, it's not practical, it doesn't exist.
Sure.
So they'll because it's data, they're listening. And
Sure.
They don't have it, And so to some, they actually now said, okay, give us some, always they say, okay, now please, then after a meeting, they'll say specifically recommend, send a letter. So you have to just, you're right, you have to push hard.
Yeah.
But you push, it gets done. I mean, I think it's
No,
because we in kiosk category are not in the FSI area, so for us to get the license is also an issue.
yeah.
No, then
In a
your
mall, we are not in the FSI area, so we don't have a proper agreement of any sorts.
so your principal owner has to do it. The mall guy.
The mall
says
owner.
was aap sambhalo. So give whatever X every month or every 6 months.
Challenge.
So for a kiosk, a lot of these hotel things won't apply. We are trying to solve.
With what he's saying is, but to pursue with the government is a really Herculean task.
Sure.
In terms
It
of,
is.
I
With due
know
respect,
some of
I do
my
understand that.
seniors who really spend a lot of their time and energy doing it, because going to a mantralaya is like one full day's job, and
True.
you don't come back till evening.
True.
And unfortunately, the mindset of the establishment is such that this is a hotel, so this is an elite class. Okay, people who eat and dine here can afford it. So why do you care? You charge it.
Yeah.
That's what.
Pass it on.
Simply when the service tax was introduced for a restaurant, the commissioner said that, listen, I really don't care if the consumer is going to suffer. Because he's saying what percentage of the consumer is going to get affected? 2% of the population? It really doesn't really matter.
No, it's true. If there's revenue generation, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
So
See,
service tax, we fought
Yes.
hard also.
Yes.
And that's just together we fought with the airlines. We had a joint thing in it.
Okay.
The airlines, the hotel, we all got together last when it came in.
Sure.
Because for some they'd increased it, for restaurants they introduced it, we bought, we did a press conference, we got media coverage, everything. And the first time when they approached me to kind of get involved, I said, we'll do it, but I guarantee you a waste of time. They ain't going to get, so some of the other associations were funding it. They wanted, so I went for every press conference, but I said, liquor lilo, revenue hai, they're not going to give up. And it's right.
Correct.
It's customers paying for it, pass it on, why are you wasting your time,
So they will prioritize revenue over safety.
Absolutely.
Always.
They really don't eventually. Sometimes you should waste your time because you're not going to. It's taxation. I think till we get to GST, all this rubbish is going to happen when GST comes in, this will all get
Every year they add two new taxes saying that GST aa jayega tab hum log
That will also
True.
happen.
That's why I'm saying every year they add on two taxes saying jab GST aayega sab wave ho jayega abhi le lo
See,
abhi.
this is what was the intention of the central government, to widen the scope so that they can recoup it at a later date. But that will not happen because all your states are not going to come together. And now, with maybe the next election, you don't know what is the verdict going to be. So, if there are so many splintered states, you can never adopt it. And until that doesn't come, therefore, it doesn't lie on us. It lies on the consumer or the general public. He has to realize that ultimately everything is becoming expensive for him. I will pass it on. We will have to bear the brunt because your revenues are going to fall. Because as the product becomes expensive, your revenues will definitely fall. But the consumer at the end of the day should realize that, look, what I was getting for this amount, like your total taxation would go to about, let's say, 12% of VAT and a service tax of 4%. So imagine you paying around 10% just on the taxes.
I think the best part of this is, the best part of this that I've heard in terms of licensing is that there is hope despite all the challenges, and lobbying in these large collective groups is probably the best possible solution over time.
But Ravi, I would still want to add something that
Sure.
the hope is not in the establishment, the hope is in the entrepreneurial skill of the industry. Because the industry still moves on, it still gate crashes, it manages, it finds its way out, and they keep moving ahead. So that is the spirit of the industry is what makes
Like
Point taken. Point taken.
They were like, the jewelers went on strike. And look what they got from Badar to roll back, 1%? 1% of it? 1%. And they went on strike.
Yeah, good.
And gold. Right?
Correct.
So they were like, let's restaurants go on right. So I actually took a poll. I said, okay, how many of you want to shut your restaurants?
Yeah.
One day karoge token.
Right.
They actually went on strike for
Correct.
a while.
Yes.
They lost a lot of business.
Yes.
So it's
But because we are not
someone said, hey, we can't go on strike because the fact is we provide a basic service. It's food and accommodation.
No,
You're actually doing a disservice to the public by going on strike.
No, I think that just most restaurateurs are not as united as, let's say, the Chemists Association.
I strongly agree with you, Vikram, really, absolutely.
That just as,
It's an excuse.
ourselves that नहीं हम लोग कैसा बंद कर सकते, we are providing essential service.
Very true.
I think everybody is providing from their perspective essential service.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are probably a disorganized part of our sector, and even the organized part for that matter. Nobody wants to be the first to stop their revenue.
I think everybody is responsible because we all complain that unity is not there, but when it comes to us really downing our shutter, everyone says छोड़ना है, बाकी जन कर लेगा मैं.
Very true.
ये बार मैं नहीं करता.
The Mumbai, they
Want to try and set one out.
Yeah.
Sure.
For 2 years.
Some guys did it, yes, some local guys did it. We were reading about it.
Willingly we did once or twice, but otherwise we do twice.
So
a
the
year.
problem is they did it for one day. That's the thing. They were not even government said हाँ चलो यार एक दिन कर रहे हैं छोड़ो ना.
Kinzel, you were saying mall you can't shut.
No, you can't set any.
Sure.
No, illegally you probably.
Choice is made for him. He doesn't have a choice even.
In mall they don't have shutters, right?
Sure.
It's not in their control.
It's not in high street, right?
It's not in your
Sure.
control.
Sure. We get a letter which is just some fine amount or some notice or something.
Gentlemen, nice. I have to leave. Very sorry about
Sure.
this.
Thanks very much, Pradeep.
Thanks, Pradeep.
Anyway, let's move on to the next subject, gentlemen, manpower. The challenge of manpower, which is another large component in terms of challenge in our industry. Acquisition of manpower, retention of manpower. Some people say training is the aspect. Could you share a few thoughts on that quickly?
I think it's one of the biggest challenges.
I think
Okay.
power is done to that.
Okay.
Not to that, but I think it's a real challenge.
Yes.
It's a big challenge because I think everyone's growing. One of the reasons of the challenge is everyone's growing. And the restaurants are growing, hotels are growing. And also I think it's a challenge because I think in restaurants lose people to hotels. Of course, as a career option, we lose people to retail now. You lose people to BPO. So actually there are 4 kind of industries competing for the same trained manpower. But I think the solutions also, it's been, topics done there, but there are solutions. So, but you've got to, you eventually people will stay with you if you are a fair employer.